Hello and welcome to this session on 360-degree observability using managed service for Prometheus. My name is Madhav Sathe. I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud, and I help major banking customers to modernize their applications and their infrastructures using Google Cloud. Today's agenda, we will take a look at the overview of managed service for Prometheus. Then we'll go through the demos for using the dashboard for 360-degree visibility. We'll explore the Prometheus metrics using the cloud monitoring and the PromQL interfaces provided by Google Cloud, and then take a look at the data pipeline for advanced analytics. So first, managed service for Prometheus. Let's take a look at the overview. Managed service for Prometheus is Google Cloud's fully managed storage and query service for Prometheus Metrics. This service is built on top of the same globally scalable data store as cloud monitoring. The service is intended to be a drop-in replacement for Prometheus that eliminates the need for Thanos. GKE comes with an option to simply enable the Prometheus metrics pipeline on the cluster, which includes metric collection and upload to the Google Cloud monitoring. Once the metrics are in the Google Cloud monitoring, you can use the existing Google Cloud monitoring features for metrics as well as use the PromQL interface provided by the service. So essentially, you can keep your existing Grafana dashboard prompt query based alerts and workflows. Now, when it comes to using this service, there are two personas involved in using this managed service for Prometheus: operations and developers. As far as enabling the metric pipeline is concerned, it is no ops for GKE. You just need to select the option to use managed service for Prometheus when you create the GKE cluster, and that will set up the metrics pipeline on the cluster. The only ops required is to add an IAM policy binding between the Kubernetes service account and the IAM service account, and to essentially give the IAM service account the right privilege to upload metrics to cloud monitoring. For developer persona, all you need to do is identify the applications that need Prometheus metric collections and add a pod monitoring resource to point to those applications. An example pod monitoring resource is given over here. All this is available in a sample application Git repository. It's a Spring Boot application. You will also learn in this application how to expose Prometheus metrics of various kinds, like gauge and counter and histogram. All of those metrics will be exposed using a sample application, Spring Boot application. And there is a deployment and the steps to use this service as well. So you can use this Git repository, fork it, clone it to whatever you want with it, and try it out. Now let us take a look at a demo for 360-degree visibility. All right, let's take a look at the dashboard that we have built for this demo. I'm going to switch to the Google Cloud Console. This is a monitoring dashboard tab on which we have all the Google Cloud created as well as the custom created dashboards. And we have this dashboard conveniently named Prometheus System Metrics and Application Log. Essentially, this gives you a 360-degree visibility into the application health. The application exposes business metrics, a gauge metric, a histogram, as well as a counter. In this case, we are capturing the charts for a gauge order queue and a histogram order processing time 95 percentile on this particular dashboard. You can compare the performance of the metrics with each other across multiple clusters. In this particular case, we are using an example application that is a convenient retail example. Uh, in this case, it is running on two different clusters depicting two different retail stores. You can find out the performance on each of the cluster, compare the performance of each other, as well as compare the performance of the business metric to that of the system metrics, and to see whether any degradation in the system behavior affects the application performance. You can also take a look at the application log right on the same screen. And in this case, we are logging the business application data also in the logs, and we are able to capture it right on the without any extra work. We can drill down into the log analysis for Log Explorer for more detailed log analysis and build some logging dashboards as well. Uh, as you can see here, the threshold line, the red line, indicates a threshold that we have set on these metrics. And if the metric remains above the threshold for a certain period of time, then the alert will be generated. Right now, there is no incident over here. The idea you get here is that you focus on the stuff that really matters to your business. That is creating dashboards, making sure the applications are healthy, making sure the business value of the application is also healthy. How do you come here? You simply go to the Google Cloud menu, go to the monitoring, and then click on the dashboards over here. Let's move on to the next section, which is exploring the Prometheus metrics using various interfaces. So for that, I'm going to use again the cloud monitoring, and we will use the option here, Manage Prometheus. It gives you a PromQL interface to look at all the Prometheus metrics. The simple way to start finding out the metrics is to simply start typing what metric you're looking for, and it will give you the metrics, and you can just run the query. Uh, the important part here is that Prometheus Metrics exposes the data, allows you to expose business metrics using business dimensions also. You can add multiple dimensions to the same metric. All of those will be captured here. In this particular case, we are taking a retail example. So we have multiple dimensions such as city, country, franchise ID, store ID, latitude, longitude, as well as zip code. So let's start picking up some of those, maybe a region, store ID, zip ID, or the zip code, as well as country. That will help, and maybe also a franchise. So all of that data is a business data, and you can then start filtering on it, start grouping on it, etc. And since this interface is a PromQL, you can apply some PromQL functions also. So let's take a look at the order queue that is indicates the pending orders that are not yet processed. And I want to take a look at all the orders across all my stores. So you can just run the sum query on it, and it will just give you the total across all the clusters. So this is one way to explore it. But cloud monitoring also offers a metric explorer, a very sophisticated metric explorer. From there also you can explore the metrics, and it is the same consistent experience you will get no matter whether using the Prometheus metrics, system metrics, or the metrics coming in from any other source. So let's select the metrics over here. Again, I will select, let's say, Prometheus. It will show me the Prometheus target, and I can, let's say, store underscore. Maybe in this particular case, let us take a look at, again, store order, uh, order queue, and apply. Now, we already discussed how we can use the various business dimensions. Let's quickly select some of the business dimensions, and and then maybe we will be able to filter and group by on it. So all the grouping and analysis and slicing and dicing of the data, all of that can be done not only using the system dimensions that are captured by the GKE, such as cluster, region, project ID, etc., or the namespace, etc. You can also group or filter using the business dimensions also. So if you want to look at only the metrics, let's say for a particular franchise across all your stores, you can do all of that here. Moving on to another aspect here is to use the MQL. MQL is um, very useful when you start defining these metrics or thresholds, etc., using the APIs. You can use this in your API-driven operations. You can store these MQLs. You can put them in a Git repository, and we will see how we are using these MQLs in the next section where we actually start extracting data from the operations store as well. So MQL, make sure that once you design the metric, what you're looking for, design your filters, etc. Make sure that you copy the MQL. Now, coming to the next part of this session of this demo, we will define some alert on the Prometheus metrics. There are already some incidents, as you can see here. They're already closed. None of the incidents are open. So we'll go ahead and create a new metric policy or new alert policy. Um, Let us say we want to set up the metric alert on the last order processing time. Okay. Hypothetically, we are interested in that. And you can take a look at the all the clusters where this metric is deployed, and we are conveniently called the cluster store 1, store 2. What I want to do is, let's say, just to show that uh, I will set up a threshold low enough so that the alert will be generated. So let us say the value of the alert is 225. Um, both the clusters are violating the value, but this is essentially giving you the ability to interact with the Prometheus metrics and do all the operations that you would otherwise do with the GKE native metrics. And this metric type is of Gauge. You can go ahead. I'm not interested in the notification channel at this moment, but otherwise you can use all the notification channels if the alert is generated. And mobile application or the pager duty, webhooks, Slack, etc. All of these notification mechanisms are available for you. You can give the alert name, last order processing time, and we'll just call it prom so that we'll know that it is a Prometheus metric. And let's create a policy. So there we are. Our metric policy for the business metric exposed by Prometheus is already defined. The value has to remain above the threshold for some time for it to trigger an incident, and we'll come back at that later. So now I will move to the last section of this demo. We'll come back if the alert is generated. We'll move to the last section of this demo, which is data pipeline for advanced analytics. Now, we are using cloud operations for operational purposes or cloud monitoring for operational purposes. But there is a lot more you can do with the data once the data is across the estate data is available for you, and you can use advanced analytics if you put the data into the data warehouse. In this case, we have BigQuery, the best data warehouse, cloud native. We have built a pipeline here to extract the metrics data from cloud monitoring and pump those metrics into the BigQuery. And it's all using the GCP cloud native tools, so you don't have to worry about managing the infrastructure, etc. The code is deployed using the cloud functions, which is a function as a service, and it is triggered using a pub/sub event, which is essentially getting an incident based on a schedule. So let's say you can define the pipeline that every 5 minutes I want to extract the data, or every 15 minutes I want to extract the data from the cloud monitoring and send that data for rich analysis and AI ML type of works to the BigQuery. Once the data is in the BigQuery, you can use it with Looker dashboards, or you can also use Grafana Labs, which has a plugin for BigQuery. And Grafana can also work with the cloud monitoring as well. So there are multiple ways you can start utilizing this data once it is in the cloud monitoring. You can build such rich, nice pipelines. And again, the code for that application, how it is written, is given over here. And it is a fork of another repo. I made some changes and added some example MQLs. Again, the MQL is very essential here. So the MQL that we save for the metric that we were exploring earlier is going to be useful for you to actually send or collect the metrics from the cloud monitoring. So what type of analysis you can do? This is a dashboard that is built by my colleague Philip Hall, and what kind of use cases it can serve. So the number one aspect of it is that you can build analytics models. You can build analytics model on your business metrics exposed from Prometheus or system metrics. You can also build dashboards. Now, cloud monitoring is great for dashboarding. However, those dashboards are not meant for business users. If your business users are interested in understanding the overall performance of the business, the cloud monitoring are not necessarily the right places to go. Looker dashboards can be used for those for that purpose. You can build a dashboard that can be consumed by the business users. What are the use cases? Long-term historical analysis, seasonal analysis to find out when business behaves differently based on is there any seasonality in that? How does the system behave differently? Is there any seasonality in that? You can also identify hotspot at global scale. So, for example, over here, since this is a retail store example, you can identify whether there are any hotspots across the geography, across the door, and you can then drill down into it. There are also capacity planning challenges that enterprises face. All this analysis or analytical model or forecasting models that you can build can be very effectively used for capacity planning. There are capacity challenges that enterprises face, and you can effectively mitigate those using these forecasted models. So, for example, here you can see that the from August 18 onward, yeah, the forecasting model indicates that you may have some capacity issues over here, and the capacity issues, which stores will have capacity issues, you can actually see on this dashboard as well. Uh, let's take a look at now. Let's take a look at the big query where the metrics are actually landing, and then we'll go to the cloud functions where the actual implementation is. So I'll quickly show you how the metrics are getting saved, extracted, and then saved to the BigQuery. Let's go to the preview, and I'll go to the last part of this. Now, as you can see here, the uh, order queue per store is a metric that we are extracting from the cloud monitoring and sending it to the BigQuery. It has retained all the dimensions of the metrics, which is system dimensions such as the region where the GKE cluster is deployed, the name of the cluster, etc., but also the business dimensions such as the city and the country, etc. All of those are captured over here, and then you can take a look at the value. It is a gauge metric, and also capture the value of that. So once the data is available to you, you can start building AI ML models around it and take advantage of the Looker or Grafana dashboarding capabilities to build business-friendly dashboards. Now, let's take a quick look at Cloud Function where this logic is implemented, where this pipeline is implemented. MQL export metrics, this is where we have implemented it. You will see the invocations, memory usage, active instances, etc. All right. There is nothing interesting to see here, but the important part here is that it's the trigger based on which this function is, and function as a service is perfect for such use cases where you're building the pipelines on the routine basis. You are extracting data from one place, transforming the data, and then storing it into the long-term analysis data store. So in this case, we have a pub/sub topic. Any incident on the incident on the topic will trigger this function, and the pub/sub topic is essentially gets an incident based on a schedule. So we have a cloud scheduler that we have used that is generating incidents on this one. So as you can see here, um, these are the subscription that we have built that is used by the cloud function essentially to listen to this cloud topic. So that brings me to the end of my session. Thank you very much. I hope you will be able to take advantage of the managed service for Prometheus. I will quickly show you the repositories, sample application repositories. This is the custom metric Prometheus repository where I have the application, source code, deployment YAMLs, as well as the steps to enable the GKE cluster and set up the service accounts, etc. So you can take a look at that. And if you want to try out the data pipeline from the cloud operations to BigQuery, then you can take a look at this sample. I did not write the original code for this. I made some changes, but the original code is also over there. So you can actually take a look at the original code as well. So with that, it brings, I want to say thank you, and hopefully you will be able to use the cloud monitoring and manage Prometheus service. Thank you.